All right, guys, welcome back to another video. We have a lot to go over today. Yesterday, Xbox, they've been doing their tour across the Activision Blizzard studios. They started off at King, and yesterday they were at Blizzard Entertainment, and there was a bunch of pictures that came out of that, as well as some information of some of the things that Xbox talked about with the leadership team and the overall teams over at Blizzard. So we have this article here from Windows Central. And this is some of the stuff that they heard was actually discussed when they went over there and visited Blizzard. So it was an entire crew there. There was Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, Sarah Bond. They were all visiting the people at Blizzard Entertainment, as well as some other Activision employees there. And here is what we understand what was said. It says, your sources familiar with the commentary noted that it was a relatively low-key affair and that Spencer emphasized that he had no answers today and that right now Xbox was listening to the needs and desires of staffers instead. This isn't surprising. This is the first visit. They are probably going to be overall very low-key throughout the rest of this year. And I think we're going to get a lot more answers at the beginning of 2024 in terms of how Xbox is going to handle and manage their studios. I probably am thinking on the lines that they're going to continue with the same way that they did things with Bethesda, where they're just going to allow these studios to go out there and make the games that they've been making, make the games that they do want to make, but then they'll also throw in a little bit more management in there to make sure that all games are coming out with high quality. I mean, I think Redfall was a major eye-opening. Phil Spencer even admitted it, that he needs to be more hands-on with the process to make sure that it didn't happen again. So I feel like that's something that's going to be definitely emphasized going forward with any new acquisition that they have. They're going to have to be involved somewhat. They can't just be completely hands off. And I think that's going to be a slight change there. And the Xbox leadership is going to go in to Blizzard and Activision with all the studios and just probably implement some stuff. It probably won't be anything crazy, but I mean, as of right now, we won't know until going forward. Hopefully we do get that similar roundtable that we got with Bethesda. Hopefully we do get that with Activision Blizzard Studios as well. Now, he goes on here and says that Spencer said that Microsoft is striving to be a source of trust for Blizzard and wants to enable Blizzard to achieve its visions and dreams. And Spencer, he's made these comments many times. I mean, well, maybe not the exact comments, but he's made these very similar comments with other acquisitions that they have made. And basically, it's saying that you guys are still going to be able to do the games that you want to make. One of the things that I think is very optimistic going forward for these Activision Blizzard studios is I think that Phil Spencer and Xbox are going to allow these studios to make different types of games, allow smaller teams to break off and make some passion projects to give us some more variety in what they are currently output, especially with all of the Activision studios essentially just working on Call of Duty. It will be a nice change to get different games out of these studios. And it's going to be something that may not happen right away, but if there are older IPs that some teams want to work on, I'm really hoping Phil Spencer's true to his word and he allows those games to be made. Now, continues here and says, I've written in the past that how Blizzard has changed after it merged with Activision, whose shareholder culture demanded a very specific type of experience. And Microsoft's leadership reportedly remarked that they see Blizzard as the Pixar of the gaming industry, owing it to the pioneering nature of the brand and the legacy of innovating with new genres and technologies. Now, there is something interesting, and this is speculative, as they do say here. The branding at this event was just Xbox and Blizzard. The Activision stuff was not there. If you've seen the Activision Blizzard logo, they're all in one. The Activision name was away from the Blizzard logo, and they just had Blizzard plus Xbox. You can kind of see an example here that Mike Ybarra, the president of Blizzard, did post. As you can see, it has Xbox and Blizzard Entertainment only. And maybe that is signaling that they are going to keep these studios in their different categories, keep them siphoned off, and they're going to have Activision as one, Blizzard as another, and then Bethesda, and then the other Xbox first-party studios. There's not going to be Activision Blizzard when they're doing reporting and all of those types of things. I mean, that would probably make sense now that it is all under the Xbox umbrella, but this is just speculative based off of some of the stuff that was shown off here in terms of the marketing. And it says here, it could be indicative that Blizzard will regain some managerial independence from Activision, who has often been criticized to me. So this is, I believe, Jez writing this article. that people have criticized to him as meddling from both current and former Blizzard staff. Now, that's pretty much it. I mean, nothing crazy here that came out of these meetings, just very low key, but there were other pictures that were posted. You can see here Phil Spencer, Mike Ybarra, Matt Booty in the background, and then all of this Blizzard staff. So everybody there was meeting. You got Lulu Ching Meserve that was also in some of these pictures. And again, you can see here the Activision Blizzard logos are decoupled, just Xbox and Activision in this picture with Lulu. And then you have Phil Spencer and the entire team. So they're really making the rounds. This is just the very, very early beginning as to what we are going to be seeing and expecting going forward from Xbox and Activision. Where now it's just what's going to happen with these games. What are they coming to Game Pass? And I can't wait for more information on that. Now, when it comes to Xbox reports, there was the Xbox Q1 financial report, or the Microsoft Q1 financial report. But here we were just really care about how Xbox and the gaming side of things are doing. So let's take a look at that. It starts off with talking about the Xbox hardware revenue. That's actually declined 7%, which, I mean, this isn't that surprising. I think people expected when Starfield came out that the hardware sales would just absolutely skyrocket, and that isn't the case. And we have seen throughout this entire generation, and it's been proven both on the PlayStation side and the Xbox side, that the majority of gamers on these platforms aren't buying consoles to play first-party games. It's just not the way that the console market works. The majority of people are buying consoles because they're cheaper, they're easy to access, they're easy to set up, and they play lots of third-party games, the major third-party games like the Call of Duties and the Fortnites and stuff like that. But Xbox hardware revenue has declined 7%, and this was also during the same time that they launched their 1 terabyte black version of the Xbox Series S, which they're saying here obviously wasn't enough to push and boost the Xbox hardware revenues, as well as with the release of Bethesda. That didn't help at all. But where all of this gets offset is with the Xbox content and services revenue, which includes Xbox Game Pass, and that is up by 13%. They say overall gaming revenue is also up by 9%. And it looks like Xbox Game Pass has grown year over year, but Microsoft is still not providing updated subscriber numbers. And this is, I mean, the Xbox strategy. They know that they're not going to be able to compete in terms of the specific unit hardware sales with the competition. They're probably not going to surpass PlayStation at any point in the future. But where they can offset their being second or third in hardware sales is with their ecosystem that they continue to expand, and that we're seeing growth consistently from Xbox Game Pass and from their Xbox hardware and content and services revenue. Again, it is posting there as a positive. Now, what is one of the most interesting things here that we did see where major first party games can really help Xbox is through getting subscriptions to Game Pass, which is why it's very important that Xbox has a consistent cadence when they're releasing first party games, and they have no excuse now. With all the studios they own, there's absolutely no excuse to have 3, 4, 5 first-party games on a yearly basis. And Satya Nadella says this on the earnings call, that on launch, we set a record for the most Game Pass subscriptions added on a single day ever. And he's talking about the launch of Starfield. So major first-party games, stuff like this is definitely going to show the Xbox team how important they are and how important they are that they're good games, that they're quality games that people want to play, the marketing there, and that the hype is there. Now, it says that Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer did admit in October that Xbox Game Pass growth had stalled on the console side of the service, with Microsoft now focusing on PC Game Pass growth instead. He did talk about this, and I think that they're focusing now on growing subscribers across literally everything on top of the console thing. Like, obviously PC is huge, but they obviously as well want to grow people in the cloud. They want to get people just subscribing who are playing on their phone. And if they're going to add in a mobile store or a mobile section to Xbox, which is something they talked about before the Activision Blizzard acquisition, I think those numbers are also going to play into Game Pass and into the subscription numbers. They're going to be focusing on that a lot. And we haven't heard what the current number is. It's been about 18 months since we heard about the current number. I'm thinking they're waiting for maybe next year where they announced it. Now with the Activision Blizzard a part of it, which will help grow subscribers, And then on top of that, they're going to be able to add in the Xbox Game Pass core numbers to the number, and it will just be a big, big announcement. We'll see what the official number is at the end of the day, but Game Pass is still getting great games, and that's really all that matters for us gamers out here. It's not doesn't really matter how many people are subscribed, but obviously the more people that do subscribe into the ecosystem and do subscribe to Xbox, the better games are going to be coming to the service because they're just going to have that incentive to continue to want to improve it. And I would say that Game Pass is in a great spot, and it's going to continue to be in a great spot. Satya Nadella talked about doubling down on being a game producer and a publisher. This was an interview with MSN, and the acquisition of Activision Blizzard was brought up, and they talked about how expensive they were to purchase and why it was so important. And Satya Nadella says it is, but we're really excited about it. For us, there are a few things that go all the way back for us as a company. Gaming is one, right? When I think about Microsoft, I think of perhaps developer tools, proprietary software, and gaming. Those are the three things that we've done from the very beginning. And so to us, gaming is the one place where we think we have a real contribution to make in consumer markets. If I look at it, the amount of time people allocate to gaming is going up, and Gen Z is going to do more of that. The way games are made, the way the games are delivered is changing radically, whether it's mobile or consoles or PCs or even the cloud. So we're looking forward to really doubling down both as a game producer and a publisher. And now we'll be one of the biggest game publishers and also as a company that's building platforms for it. So Satya Nadella is all in on Xbox and all in on gaming, doubling down as a producer and a publisher. And they can obviously do that at this point, publishing tons of games from first party, producing tons of games from first party, going out and getting these third party deals, which we're having a showcase for today. They're going to continue to try to tap more into this market because it is a market that's growing. More people are playing. It is now becoming cheaper to access games, so more people are spending time playing a variety of different games and staying within these services themselves because they're not having to wait the long term for releases when you have something like Game Pass where there's something is always available and you're not having to spend full price anymore, $70-$80 for games when they release on day one. So more people are going to play. There's going to be a lot more money to be made in gaming. That's just the way it is. Mobile is going to be a major part of that, and they see the writing on the wall, which is why it makes sense for them to be doubling down. But what was also interesting with those comments, Nadella is no longer receiving bonuses or pay tied strictly to Game Pass growth. It's now been replaced with the broader Xbox content and services revenue growth goal, which makes sense. I mean, he's making like $50 million a year. He's at the end of the day, these executives are in it for the bottom line and for their paycheck. And you look at the Xbox content and services revenues, they're growing year over year. Whereas Game Pass, we haven't heard anything in terms of the specific number. And they say here that the 2023 growth was at 0.7%, where their target was 4.4%. So obviously for him, he wants to make more money. Why stay on this target that hasn't been reached when you can move to a target that is growing every single year? Because this revenue, the content, services, and revenue growth is not just based off of Game Pass subscribers. It's also based off of all the money that is being paid through the Xbox store when people log on. So there's a lot more avenues where that is going to be able to grow. So maybe Nadella has lost confidence in Game Pass growth. Who knows? Or more than likely, he's just seeing he wants to make more money and he's going to move his target over because I guess he could do that as the CEO. And that's it really for the Xbox news yesterday. But let's jump over here to a bunch of PlayStation stuff that did happen as well. Some negative stuff here, starting off with some major layoffs again at PlayStation. And it's all of this I don't think is too much of a coincidence because this is all happening at the same time as there are other layoffs in the gaming industry. I mean, we've heard the information about how expensive it is to make these games. So it's becoming harder and harder for publishers and companies to get their return on their investment. And it's becoming much more risky to take risks with games. And PlayStation is right in that boat. We see the games that they release, they are essentially the same. They reiterate over the same thing over and over again. They release all of these remasters. We haven't seen all of the creative stuff they used to do back in the day. We saw the list of games that Connie Booth, who reportedly had been let go, all of the list of games that she worked on, and the diversity in the portfolio that PlayStation had back in the day when she was working on those games was just far greater than it currently is right now. And this is another sign that PlayStation is going to dial back anything unique and different, and they're going to continue to really only work on the same old stuff on console that they know will sell well. Probably go further into PC. Well, we'll go further into PC. We'll go further into mobile, and we'll go further into the cloud, essentially following Xbox in the strategy to grow. And we have this news here that Dreams and Little Big Planet studio Media Molecule is reportedly laying off 15 to 20% of the staff, and they are planning to lay off around 20 of its 135 employees. And they also, Media Molecule put out a statement about this saying, Media Molecule has made a significant strategic change during the past year, including shifting our focus from Dreams to our new project. We have had to make the difficult decision to begin the consultation process for team members within certain departments of the studio. This is a tough moment for the individuals impacted on and the studio overall. Every single role that has been put at risk is delivered by someone who has contributed something special to Media Molecule. We will make sure those impacted receive the best support we can to provide during this process. We will continue to support the Dreams community for a foreseeable future, and will update on future plans at a later date. So there you have it. I mean, Media Molecule was one of those studios at PlayStation that just made a bunch of different cool creative stuff. Dreams in itself allowed you to make multiple different games inside of it. I mean, the Little Big Planet series, they had a launch game at the PS5 launch, and I don't think there's been another one since then. It probably just was one of the lowest selling PS5 launch games. I could be wrong on that. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but I feel like it didn't sell well as a game like Spider-Man Miles Morales. And they are just dialing back on putting out anything that isn't Spider-Man, isn't The Last of Us, and isn't God of War. So it will be interesting to see going forward what PlayStation does. And this all is coinciding as well with the closing of the Activision Blizzard acquisition. PlayStation knows they have to shift and they have to pivot in order to be able to have a ecosystem and make more money in things of like in mobile and PC, and expand and broaden the range of people that are going to be able to access and play those games. And to be able to do that, you have to shift around resources, and the victims are going to be these studios that just don't sell the 5 million copies or 2.5 million copies of their games in a single day like Spider-Man 2 did. So I think it's unfortunate, and we'll see. Maybe this is just short term, and in 5 years from now, once they've finish their pivoting, something like that, we will start getting more and different games from PlayStation Studios. So that was an unfortunate thing. And then there was this year, for the last time that Modern Warfare or Call of Duty will be marketed with a PlayStation, and they have it here exclusively. And this is a huge deal. I know people look at this and think, oh, it's just a box or whatever, it's just marketing, but it's a big deal. Every single year Call of Duty comes out and it's marketed with a specific platform where people who don't follow the gaming industry that much, people who really just want to play a couple of games, will gravitate towards the most popular game every single year, Call of Duty. And if they see it on a PlayStation box, they will probably pick up a PlayStation over an Xbox, especially if that's all they're looking to play. Now, it's not surprising that the marketing is there, but what is interesting is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 will be bundled for the redesigned PlayStation 5, the slim version of the console. And this is kind of the first one we are seeing here in the wild on the box. And yeah, I mean, if you want a PS5, I would wait for the slim model. I have the big chunky PS5. I don't like the design of the PS5. I don't really like the design at all of the PS5 Slim either, but I will definitely take a 30% smaller console than that big boy that I currently have set up. It's, I mean, essentially the same here with just slightly different variation to the look of it. I do like that the fact that they do have a detachable hard drive and they didn't just cut it out fully. It also allows you to replace the hard drive if it breaks or something like that, and PlayStation won't replace it. So yeah, there's that. And next year we will be seeing this on the Xbox boxes, and hopefully with it bundled as a day one Xbox Game Pass game. But I'm going to end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.